Imagine purchasing your dream property, spacious backyard, quiet street, and the best part, no neighborhood association. You're ready to settle in, expecting a peaceful life. But then she arrives. "Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm in charge of the neighborhood committee," she says cheerfully. I raise an eyebrow and respond, "That's nice, but my house isn't even part of your committee." That's when things start to spiral. I start getting letters, fines, and demands for things I've never even agreed to. I had never signed up for any rules or fees from her group. But the madness didn't stop there. Rachel decided to take things further, even threatening to take me to court for not following the rules. Rules I never agreed to in the first place. And if you think that's wild, wait until you hear this. Rachel calls the police, claiming I'm trespassing on my own property. Yes, she called 911 on me for standing on my own lawn. When the cops arrived and understood the real story, let's just say Rachel didn't leave the scene with a smile. Let's rewind a little. I had been on the lookout for the perfect house for what felt like forever. After rejecting countless cookie-cutter homes buried in endless regulations, I finally found my dream place. A roomy house on a calm street with a big yard where my kids could run free. I could finally exhale, knowing I'd found somewhere that felt like home, free from restrictions. The moment I signed those papers, a wave of relief washed over me. I was free. The movers arrived, and it was time to make my new house truly mine. I spent the day unpacking, arranging, and transforming the place into a sanctuary. Everything was going smoothly until she showed up. I was working in the backyard when I noticed Rachel approaching. She was dressed in what looked like some official neighborhood uniform, walking with an air of superiority. Her confident stride, paired with that "I'm in charge" smile, told me everything I needed to know. She was here to make sure I knew who was in charge. "Hello, I'm Rachel. I oversee the neighborhood committee." She introduced herself with a handshake, clearly expecting me to be impressed. I smiled politely. "Nice to meet you, but my house isn't even the neighborhood group." Her face froze for a second, the gears in her head clearly shifting. "Oh, that doesn't matter," she said after a long pause. "You'll still have to follow the rules." "We all do." I couldn't believe it. "I bought this place without agreeing to any of your rules," I said, trying to stay calm. "None of that applies to me." Rachel blinked, her shock obvious. Her face shifted from confident to flustered, as if I had just broken the world's most basic rule. "I'll have to check with the others," she muttered, scrambling for some semblance of authority. "You'll see, this isn't over." "Sure, I'm waiting," I said with a grin, half expecting that to be the last I saw of her. But I was wrong. The next day, I found an envelope from a neighborhood group in my mailbox. It was filled with confusing legal language and threats about fines for noncompliance. There were fines for everything from lawn length to the color of my house. One fine even claimed my house wasn't the right shade of beige. Beige? Really? As the days passed, more letters arrived, each one more ridiculous than the last. They demanded that I join the group, pay dues, and follow a bunch of rules I'd never even heard of. It became clear that Rachel wasn't backing down. She was convinced she had the right to tell me how to live. I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt and call the neighborhood office. I figured I'd clear this up with a simple conversation. "Hello, I've been getting these notices about fines. I just want to clarify a few things," I said. "Oh, you must be talking about Rachel," the office representative chuckled. "She thinks she runs the whole neighborhood. Just ignore her. She'll eventually back off." I sighed, realizing I had little to no help from the official channels. But I chose to ignore it and go about my life. That is, until one Saturday morning, everything escalated. I was making coffee, getting ready for a barbecue, when I saw movement outside. Sure enough, there was Rachel, this time with her 2 kids, armed with lawn tools, sneaking around my yard. They were clearly looking to trim my grass and show me they had control. I couldn't believe it. "Hey," I yelled, stepping to the window. "Get off my property." Rachel shot back. "Your grass is too long. It's against the neighborhood rules. You're ruining the community." I roll my eyes. "My grass is fine. I'll take care of it however I want. And you have no authority here. Go home." Her kids hesitated, glancing at their mom as if seeking approval. But Rachel wasn't backing down. She stepped forward with that same authoritarian attitude. "You're going to regret this," she said. If you don't comply, we'll take you to court. Court, I said incredulously. Go ahead. This is the most ridiculous thing I've heard in a long time. That's when she whipped out her phone. I'm calling 911, she threatened, and saying you're trespassing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 911? For what? I'm on my own property. With a quick tap on her phone, Rachel began dialing the emergency number. Yes, I'm reporting a trespasser, she said dramatically, clearly expecting to win the day. I just shook my head in disbelief. I needed backup. So, I called my friend Officer Ben, who had known me for years. Ben, you might want to swing by. Rachel's calling the cops on me for trespassing on my own lawn, I said, trying not to laugh. I'm on my way, Ben replied, clearly amused by the absurdity of it all. Before long, I heard the familiar wail of sirens, and I saw the flashing lights of the police cruiser. Rachel's smug grin faltered as Officer Ben got out of the car. Good morning. What's going on here? He asked, glancing from Rachel to me. Rachel wasted no time. This man is trespassing. He's violating the rules with his yard and needs to comply. Ben turned to Rachel, raising an eyebrow. Actually, this is his property, he said calmly. I know him. He's my neighbor, and he's also the local police chief. Rachel's face went pale. She didn't know how to respond. Wait, she stammered, trying to recover. He can't just... Ben cut her off with a smirk. You can't call the cops over your mistakes, Rachel. You're the one trespassing on his land and trying to control how he keeps it. You're the one in trouble. Her face turned bright red. I wasn't trespassing. I was just trying to help, she protested. Ben raised an eyebrow. Trespassing is helping. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I burst out laughing. This whole situation was like something straight out of a comedy show. Ben turned to Rachel. Ma'am, I need you to step back, he said firmly. Where are my rights? She demanded, now sounding more like a child than a neighborhood president. Your reality check is right here, I said, grinning. As Ben escorted Rachel away, I couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. She had dug her own grave. I had stood my ground, and I had won. Ben turned to me with a chuckle. You're a brave man dealing with that. Just remember, this stuff will go down in history. I nodded, still grinning. I might even write a book about it. As the chaos settled, I sat back, sipping my lemonade and enjoying the quiet. Sometimes, the universe has a funny way of putting people in their place, and in this case, Rachel had learned a hard lesson about overstepping her bounds. And as I looked out at my yard, I couldn't help but smile, knowing I'd outsmarted her and stood up for my freedom. As the sun began to set and I relaxed in the calm of my backyard, I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Rachel's attempt to impose her misguided rules had backfired spectacularly. What began as a routine HOA confrontation turned into a public spectacle that even the police couldn't ignore. The lesson here was clear. No one gets to control your life unless you let them. I had stood my ground, not just against Rachel, but against the idea that anyone could assume they had authority over me without earning it. In a way, the whole episode felt like a victory, not just for me, but for anyone who's ever had to deal with unreasonable authority figures. There's something empowering about setting boundaries and refusing to be intimidated. As I reflected on the day's events, I realized that sometimes the universe has a strange way of rewarding those who don't back down in the face of nonsense. So, while Rachel learned the hard way that no one could push me around, I walked away with something far more valuable. The peace of mind that comes from knowing that standing up for yourself is always worth it. And, of course, a great story to tell.